Classic WoW Season of Discovery is right around the corner, and we have a ton of new information around Season of Discovery, including name reservations and possible servers linked to different things. We're also going to go over what server is potentially best for you and your playstyle, and a few other minor concerns especially pertaining to servers. We got a lot to talk about. What's up world, should be back in video for checking out all things Classic WoW. Okay, so let's just jump right into the actual server stuff. We'll get into the details around that. Now I did this video a while back, both for Classic WoW and I believe for Wrath of the Lich King when all the fresh servers were coming out and different server changes, but we do have to actually go over the details of all the server stuff because we've had a ton of information come out, and this is both for what type of servers we might see as well as name reservations and a few other things. However, we did get an official tweet here from Josh Greenfield. Now this is from the senior game producer, so we do know this is very credible. He had a few things to say on name reservations as well as the server and realms. Now someone asked here, what about name reservation? Where he did reply here saying, sorry, not happening. It's not really a thing we likely do for seasons or new classic releases going forward. I understand that might be disappointing, but there's a good reason for not doing it. Now he has a long tweet here that goes over a ton of the reasoning of why they shouldn't put in name reservations or these server names up early. And so wait, what about the actual server names? Well, there is an updated tweet from Josh Greenfield as well going over the actual server names being disclosed before the launch of Season of Discovery. And he goes on here to say, I might regret posting this, but in the interest of transparency, I think it makes sense to explain why we don't publish realm names early or do name reservations anymore. I see folks say things that we need the name so we can plan, and we really want that but don't need it. He goes on further to say here, having realm names is nice, but it's dangerous too. The longer the realm names are known, the more likelihood the community is to come together and Christian one realm, the good realm, to the detriment of all other. One thing we constantly struggle with the realm population is that the realms and realm identity becomes very sticky. Almost from the minute you pick a realm, the earlier you start identifying and planning something, the harder it is to shift or change. Now he goes on here more to kind of discuss things about the discomfort of certain things and how people post to Discord and go over different strategies about different things. Now I actually do agree with this. I'm kind of glad they're not releasing the realm names. I wish New World would have done this for the fresh servers, as there was a whole thing there with planning and people avoiding each other and guilds going to different things. However, it doesn't really matter as much in World of Warcraft, whereas yeah, New World has more of that segmented stuff where it actually matters on who plays on which server because they can kind of control it, whereas Classic WoW doesn't really have the mechanic. However, for server population, this does make a lot of sense. So yes, again, we are not receiving name reservations and we are not receiving the name for the actual realms, which are the two big updates. However, we did get a third update as well as some other things that you can kind of do to pre-plan this. Now we actually do have another tweet here from another senior game producer, and this is from Tom Ellis on Twitter, who is talking about some RP PvP stuff. And he goes on here to say that fine, I'll sneak you in an RP PvP realm. And he goes on here to say, don't make me regret this. He goes on and talks about Happy Thanksgiving to North Americans because that was the day of Thanksgiving. However, that's very interesting that we are also getting an RP PvP realm with it. Now there's a few things to go over with all of this together, kind of encapsulated with all the news about name reservations as well as PvP realm. It does seem like a lot of people are very happy about there being an RP PvP realm added. There's a lot of discussion around that I'll get into a little bit later. However, going over exactly which server you should potentially choose and what server type you should choose, seeing as we don't have the realm names, which again I am happy about, but I am also curious on your thoughts on that. That way there's no too much pre-planning and the servers don't get too lopsided. However, with streamers, that could definitely play a portion there, although typically when they don't announce the realm names, then all the streamers don't get to go to the same one, although there might be some accidental unplanning there. And just like with my Wrath of the Lich King fresh server video, basically choosing what server that you should probably pick and go to for Wrath of the Lich King, I still do recommend the exact same stuff. What is that? As long as you aren't super against PvP and really don't want to encounter another PvP player, then I 100% do recommend going to at least a PvP type server. And I went through a lot of my old comments from back then on that video, and people definitely agreed because the PvE servers just kind of fall off very quickly. Now at the start of launch, you're not going to be able to notice this because it's very chaotic already. There's already going to be a ton of people everywhere no matter what server type you pick, or even if you pick a lower pop server, there's going to be a ton of people everywhere. And I say this as somebody who came from Skiram, which was a very small server on the original Classic WoW release. However, the launch was still incredibly chaotic and there's people everywhere, and so you couldn't tell about the server's population until it was too late. And me being 6 or 7 days in, I was already level 60 and really didn't want to switch servers at that point, and there was no server transfer, so you would have to completely restart. Now here with Season of Discovery only being level 25 does give a bit of a kind of an advantage there, where you will be able to kind of swap easily from server to server. However, if you do start gearing and other things like that, you're probably not going to want to swap servers. So this is very important to pick the correct server choice and the correct server type. Now again, if you want to go back to my other video with Wrath of the Lich King and check a few of the comments down there, people telling me that they wish they would have listened to me and gone to a PvP server, as they did go to PvE, and a lot of people are like, I don't like the PvP, I'm going to get annoyed by it. You're really not going to encounter it that much. It gets way blown out of proportion because of what happened in Phase 2 of Classic WoW, where essentially all these guild groups and everybody kind of had to mash around BRD. Made people really not like PvP, but the odds of you encountering a gank squad or even another PvP player are pretty minimal. And even when you do, typically people avoid each other, and even if you do have to battle, it kind of makes it a fun, nice little duel. And overall, the server population is going to stay better a lot longer. And this is according to both the Ratchet Lich King servers, the Burning Crusade servers, SM servers. Pretty much every time, PvP servers are the ones that kind of stay around. And even as one of the posts here which talks about that RP PvP post, or at least the one from Tom Ellis on Twitter, a lot of people are very excited for the Grob Mob and the Deviant Delighters that they can rejoice in getting that RP PvP server. And what's even more wild is a lot of times the RP PvP, or even the RP servers in general, actually are the most faction balanced. And as another post goes over here, Blizzard announces RP PvP coming in SOD. Grobulus is the most successful WoW server. They go over a few things in this post, like, yeah, you don't really need to RP, and there's no stuff of like being solicited or anything like that. It was more so about planning bigger parties, massive battles, things like that, for just the sake of fun. And you really don't need to participate in that stuff if you just want to play on a healthy server with a healthy population, more than likely. However, they are having some stuff to combat the regular PvP realms, as well as just kind of faction balance in general. So a few days ago, we did have a massive blue post here going over basically how Classic Hardcore went and a few things there with Classic Hardcore's launch. But they basically went over here and summarized that they're planning to do fewer realms with a faction balance limitation for PvP realms. So this is definitely like an insurance that you will be playing on a balanced realm with both faction sides. A lot of times they become lopsided and you have to leave no matter what because your faction doesn't have any more players. So not only is the PvP realm almost kind of like a given in this circumstance because of everything going on, you're also going to be receiving faction balanced PvP realms by limiting who can join each faction. So this is absolutely incredible news for the PvP servers and the people that want to play PvP. And to go on further, I'll link a few things down below, like the server population for a bunch of like Classic WoW, as well as Wrath of the Lich King, so you can kind of look at some of the fact-based stuff and actually see, okay, yeah, why did PvE realm do this, or PvP realm has this much or this many players. That way you can actually make a real informed decision based on these statistics. Now, some late-minute mentionables here. I will say for the RP PvP realm, it's more than likely going to be on US West, as that's where Grobulus was, and a lot of the kind of more famous RP servers typically seem to be on the US West Coast side. Some people there are worried about the actual time differences there. However, I've heard that PST stuff doesn't matter too much, and it shouldn't affect you as much for the time zones, as there's even EU players that play on West, and they said that they don't have any problems there, even with ping. So if you were worried about that, like, hey, I want to go RP PvP, but is it going to be US West or East, and I'm worried about time zone differences for raid slots. If the EU players are having just a fine time on US West Coast, then you'll have just a fine time being in US East Coast playing on US. At least that's my philosophy around it. I think you'll be just fine, even with raid slots and raid times. Again, I'm curious what servers you're going to play on. I might do a little poll down below so we can kind of see where things are going a little bit. You kind of have pre-knowledge on stuff. Overall, it should cover for today's video. If you like and subscribe, and until the next, deuces.